Yes, indeed. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. As we begin the talk this afternoon, Tuck in the Block. As you know, there's been many incidents over the past couple of weeks of just basic violence against the less fortunate in our society. And we walk around Roseau, we see them around the streets of Roseau, and some of us have pity, others could not care less. But one thing has been emerging over the past several years in Dominica, and that is the fact that we seem to be taking a very low tolerance for those who are less fortunate in our midst, for those who are abused and those who are on the streets of Roseau. And increasingly, we see these individuals being brutalized, in some cases being murdered. We've had at least 3 murders of vagrants on the streets of Roseau, and to my knowledge, none of these have been prosecuted by the law. And we need to talk about this as a society. We certainly need, as a society, to discuss those issues and to really, look at them in a way that as a civilized people we must. It cannot be that we continue to mistreat the people amongst us, and it could happen to anybody. We have unfortunate people. I remember a few years ago when I was involved in track and field here in Dominica, one of our top runners who would represent Dominica overseas turned up that he got into some problems, had a mental breakdown, and before you knew it, he was on the streets of Roseau like a vagrant. I know this police guy who went to school around the time that I did, and today he's on the street as a vagrant. So you just never know in life, and I think we need to be more gentle, to be gentle as a people. We need to exercise more patience with those amongst us. To help us understand all of this, before we open up the lines for you today, I've asked Mr. Francis Joseph, who is a renowned social worker, worked for many years here in Dominica, also worked a lot of his adult life in the United Kingdom, and he has some very unique views on the situation. I thought it would be good to bring him in as a professional social worker to get us going this afternoon. So let me say good afternoon to you. Francis, can you hear me?
Good afternoon to you, Dominica. Good afternoon to you, Thompson.
Okay, Francis, it's great to have you. I was just indicating that you're a trained social worker, that you worked in Dominica for many years at Save the Children, it was, in Dominica?
That was Christian Children's Fund.
Christian Children's Fund.
Yes, I worked 17 years as the director for Dominica and St. Vincent.
Exactly, and you have a lot of experience in dealing with the less fortunate in our midst and people with social issues and social ills of society. And Francis, like me, you must be concerned about the developments in Dominica with regards to the treatment of the vagrants and with regards to the treatment of those who have simply fallen upon hard times and who, probably through no fault of their own, might find themselves on the streets, and just the way that they have been treated. I would like you, Francis, to just give me, as we start off this afternoon, give me your views, on your own feelings about what you feel as a social worker, having worked in Dominica, having spent so much time. And I must say that you're joining me this afternoon all the way from London, it is?
That's correct, yes.
Excellent. So, but Francis, just give us a sense, as to how you feel about what has been going on in Dominica with regards to our treatment of the less fortunate amongst us.
Even before Child Fund Caribbean, when I worked in government as a local government officer, I worked in about 4 districts around the island. There were people roaming the streets, and people never referred to them necessarily as vagrants. There were some people who really took care of them. And I don't think the way it presents itself now on the streets of Roseau was that time in the late 70s up until the 80s. There was some level of respect for people because they needed help, they needed care. And there were the churches and voluntary organizations. And I remember lately with Honorable Prevost in the city of Roseau looking out for some of these people and attending to them. But more so trying to find out their families, where they came from. There were people who came from the rural communities and maybe didn't succeed in the city, and that really linked to that. And that is not only unique to Dominica. I worked with vagrants in the city of London, trying to get them with an organization I worked with, trying to get them out of the streets of London. They were mainly people from the east part of London, from Scotland, the Irish, and the Welsh coming down to London looking for a better life. And the approach was one of dignity, and we ran a home where people were trained to deal with them, first and foremost, their dignity and to respect them as a human being. The focus was to find out the circumstance that got them there, and other than that, important, their health and their welfare, and to get them to some level of upliftment to ensure that they can move on. So there was a process that we have with a team that we had who first used to go out to the streets, and in an area called the Bull Ring, which is in the West London area, close to one of the big stations, and from the Thames River, for people who know, Stamford Street area. There's an area with a roundabout called a Bull Ring, and that is where mainly they settled. It was an open area. And we would go there and coax them into coming to our area, come for a coffee. Gradually.
Yes, Francis, are you still there? Okay, we seem to have lost Francis on the line. What I will do, I will try to make the connection again with him as we continue here on Talk on the Block. Okay, we have succeeded in getting Francis back on the line. Good afternoon, Francis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, excellent. Not sure what happened, but it's good to have you back. You were describing a very dignified process that you've witnessed, that you participated in yourself in London. It's an area I'm very familiar with myself, and I know exactly where you refer to. And it is interesting, Francis, because you know we see that in civilized societies that there's a level of understanding, and people are prepared to work with these individuals. We have not seen anything of its kind here in Dominican. Why do you think that is?
I think here these people are protected and their dignity. They are citizens of the country, and as we said, circumstances. The same way we show a lot of effort to children who have been abused or other vulnerable people in society. We have the infirmary where we put people who are vulnerable themselves or infirmed or whatever. We have to understand. People don't understand, I noticed, experience in Dominica, because that young boy with that experience that was in the news a couple of days ago, he has approached me. He looked really not in a human way. I will do my best to do what I can and just talk to him and move on. Some people are very impatient simply because they do not know what to do, and it appears there isn't a sort of a sustainable program to address the needs of these people. Vagrancy in some countries is still illegal, but it is not being practiced at all because they realize this is more than just picking somebody up and pushing them into a home. And what we did with these people, as I said, we gradually call them, come and get a cup of coffee. You have to win them over. You have to win their confidence. If you try labeling them, calling them names, they are not going to come to you. They are going to stay away. And it can be dealt with. We were successful by getting a lot of them. One of the things we tried to find out was in this bull ring, the women were mostly there and they felt secured. And when we went in and we talked to a lot of people there, they were secured because the men were there, and they felt secured because people would rob them or beat them up. They felt secure because the males were there as well. And gradually they came, got things for them, get medical for them, reassure them. They talked about their family they left back in Scotland and they can go back and in other areas. We haven't got, in my experience, that level of intervention and disciplined approach in Dominica to address it.
And Francis, why do you think that is? Because, I mean, by some counts, there are probably as much as 30, 40 individuals on any given day that you can find who can put into that category as being, you know, I don't like to use the term myself, vagrant. These are people I believe who most of them have fallen upon bad times and who really need help. But you find them around town and you don't see the same level of importance or action being placed in trying to get them off the streets. And why do you think that is?
We hear on the news, and that is why I try to tell Dominicans to be careful. We hear on the news so much money was given to that service, for example, the Grotto Home. We hear on the news this, but you go inside there. If I want to say openly so people understand, I was invited once to view the Grotto Home. You know where it is, up in High Street area.
Yes, by the former Dominica Club area in that,
yes.
in there, yes.
I am telling you, Thompson, if this was a place what I saw that existed in England or in any first world country, the board of directors, the person in charge and the staff and everybody else who continue to see that place operate that way would be sent home and if possible be fined and go before the court for ill treatment. The environment is not a pleasant one. The people's social skills were not being developed, albeit the staff there were doing their best under the circumstances. They are not to be blamed. You have to blame at the height of government and its governance for our vulnerable people. So,
Francis, for those people who are listening and who might not be familiar, the Grotto Home is really a home, a shelter. Is that a shelter for the homeless? What exactly is Grotto Home supposed to be?
It is. When you go in there, it is taking care of people who are vulnerable, and some of them come from the streets. Some of them continue to go back in the streets and go back home. And you have some business places in the city of Roseau who go there and offer food. And usually in the evening at 5, 6 o'clock, there will be food there. But some of them who are still on the street but don't have a bed.
Okay, so it's a place where people who are on the streets around Roseau can come in, get a meal, get a shower, I assume, and go back out on the streets.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't like the look of the place. It was unhygienic, I have to say clearly. There isn't any standards. Any of those homes that are here, you have standards. And they're inspectors from the local authorities who visit periodically to do inspection of the standards of the place, the people, dignity is being respected, and all of those things are being done in the best way possible. The whole environment was not conducive for any human being.
But Francis, is that part of a wider problem where we don't seem to place the level of importance as we should on helping these individuals, some of whom I suspect probably have some mental issues, but not all of them have mental issues. It could just be somebody who is down on his luck. As you said, in some cases we know of individuals who've come into town to make a better living. They fall on hard times, they end up homeless, and before you know it, they're on the streets. I gave the example earlier of this individual who was a top athlete, a top Dominican athlete, a middle distance runner that we trained. We were in the same club. We ran together, and so represented Dominica on several occasions. He had a mental issue, and suddenly he was a vagrant on the street. A couple of days ago, I ran into this guy from a police officer who is on the street now. So. Yes. Is it a situation where we've not placed enough emphasis as a country on dealing with that particular facet of society?
You are correct. The ordinary person does not know how to deal with that situation. What they see in front of them is an obstacle, an obstruction. Move away. They come to the city because that is where the city is. One of the things I understood that they wanted to do was the Grotto Home where Bellevue Roll. I'm not sure many people know where Bellevue Roll is. It's a little community above the State College. Now, my suggestion was, these people are in Roseau, while they're there, they walk around the streets and they come back, because we are human beings we are socializing human beings. We meet people. I'm saying to put them up there where there is no flair for activity or for conversing. When you put them up there and they walk down to Roseau, I guarantee you they're not going to walk up that hill through Stockfarm to go back to Bellevue Road. And the problem is going to be now they're going to be sleeping on the street. So there has to be a package. If you're going to put them there, they go down to Roseau, what's going to happen? I sat at a meeting I was invited to with other professionals from multiple disciplinary background. And in talking about vagrancy in the city of Roseau, it was a nuisance for this government department. All they wanted to do, the tourist season was about to start. We were trying to explain in the best way possible. You have people from the psychiatric unit and a variety of various departments there, and they are not getting the picture. As far as they see, the agenda was not to take care of the vagrants. The agenda is we have 3 weeks' time to open the tourist season, and one person says, and I quote, "Look, all we want you all to do is get some vehicle, pick them up on the streets at 7 o'clock, and when the ship goes, you can dump them back in the city." Now it tells me then somebody is not working in promoting within the government service vagrancy and the care of our human beings, the care of our Dominicans. That is critical. The social services, the welfare department needs to take the lead on this. There are various professionals in their terms who want to work, who want to execute for what they have been trained to do. They know what to do. They do not have the relevant resources to do it. So it's not a matter of saying I'm going to the Grotto home, here's $10,000, which is what the PM did once some time ago during the hurricane, and just go in there, here's $10,000, here's $20,000. There's nothing wrong in donating money. But what really is it going to do for the upliftment of these people? And that is when you know them in a time of emergency to show our faces. There are a lot of people, I say, who contribute to the Grotto home, and they are doing well. But it is just sustaining something. It is not converting it into something of more human decency. And that is a serious problem we have in Dominica.
Okay, Francis, that is one aspect of the problem, right? Where I think that, like you, I agree, there is simply not enough being done to help these people. But let's look at it from the point of view of the public. And that's where I'm really concerned. And the public's view and the public's treatment of people that are considered to be less fortunate in our society. Give me your view on what you've observed, having lived in Dominica, having noticed in Dominica, your view of just how you think the public treatment of people like that is, and is that good enough?
I see that it is wrong. And as I said, in London or in any other country, you are seen doing this, you will be arrested, and a member of the public will call the police for you in doing that, regardless of the condition of the person begging on the street. As I said, the public are doing this because they do not know what to do. It is wrong that they approach these people. Some of them, yes, are nuisance. Some of them obviously haven't had a bath for a long time. There is a what they will call a smell on them, and it is an inconvenience. It's an embarrassment. They do not know how to deal with it in just reacting, because there's nowhere to go, and they don't know what to do, and they can't take them to their home. I will plead to Dominicans on the street in the best way possible. Try to avoid the situation where it forces you to react because you feel a sense of discomfort because of their odor, because of what they are presenting and what they are asking. I just gently says, no, thank you very much. I can't offer today, and I move on. They will continue. I will just continue being gentle and say, I'm sorry, I can't help you this time. I don't curse them, I don't tell them get lost, and I don't threaten them with picking up a stone or wanting to pick up a stone or anything. Just do it gently and move on. And usually, they do move on and they go to the next person. But this is the people that are feeling that they are approached by these people and they can't do anything about it, and every day they cannot continue giving because they feel the following day these people will come to them again to receive. So it stays there. We have to have a serious plan of staffing to do an early intervention, do the detection, find out their background, to see there's a gradual process to get them back home or to an environment where they feel comfortable, and then take the transition through. It takes some time, but it can be done.
And Francis, also, I mean, and you've noticed behaviors, obviously, in London, where you worked, also in St. Vincent, in Dominica. How does our treatment here compare to the way you see vagrants have been treated in other parts of the world?
We have a long way to go. I mean, you go to New York City, you see it there. You know, you go to South America, Latin America, it is terrible there as well. People actually sleeping in a weather condition which is cold and not conducive for human habitat. I mean, in Dominica, we are small, we know each other, it's visible, we see it. We can avoid the reaction and the sort of physical attempt to get at these young people by throwing stones at them. I mean, what I heard happening in a couple days ago was disturbing. And what should have happened is a lesson has to be set out by the security people, the police, to ensure that whoever attacked that person, I do not know how, I wasn't there, I cannot elaborate on it, but it has to be seen that person is called in by the police to have a discussion to find out what's happening. I don't know how long a discussion, investigation can go on by not having someone, if you know it is in this particular area, that the police is picking up someone to caution them, and whatever the law says needs to be done to pursue it. If that is not done, it is telling the other people in the public, I can do what I want with any vagrant, I'll get away. By the time the police looks for me, to talk to me, to ask me what happened, probably I'll be gone, I'll be on a flight out of Dominica. That is sending the wrong signal, because it means, therefore, the police themselves or the security people themselves are fed up with them walking around the city of Roseau. They do not know what to do. So then, besides the police, we have to go and find out what the social services department is doing, the local government department is doing. That is very important in dealing with this situation. So if these authorities are not visible in addressing it, rather than making statements, so they should not be treated that way, it is wrong. I mean, who reads this thing? The ordinary person don't really dare knows what they talk about there. You need to be visible in dealing with them like people saw us dealing with them. We had a health Department of Health immunizing them publicly on a vehicle where they queued up, and people saw that and they congratulated the effort that it was being done, that it will not be a nuisance, and many of them have moved on to homes. If we don't see that social discipline approach going on in Dominica, it is not going to get better, because we are deteriorating, not gradually but fastly, in the way we talk about our overall development, our human development, our social development in Dominica.
Francis, on that note, I want to thank you very much. We are going to continue to explore this topic, and I will certainly have you back on. But we have a very limited time today, and I want to get some discussion from the public as well. I have two very important members of the public here in studio with me this afternoon. So we are going to continue that discussion with you at a future point. But certainly, thank you very much for your intervention this afternoon.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, that was Mr. Francis Joseph there, former social worker here in Dominica, also worked in St. Vincent and the United Kingdom, giving us his perspective there on the treatment of what we call, I don't like to use the term, but I will say vagrants in Dominica. Let us do this. Let's take this one call, and then we're going to go to our guests in studio. This person has been trying for the longest while, so let me say good afternoon to you on the telephone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
This matter to your attention, and many people. That man who got burnt, he has been beaten. I am so happy that a business person called and said that he has to clean his front, his area. Another businessman, it was on one of the news, he had to put sprinkler to keep out the vagrants. I know a few years ago, a teacher was brought to the psychiatric unit. She tried to escape. She was forced and drugged. That could help to make her sick, because those same drugs that they give at the hospital, some of them are worse than what the vagrants take. Why are not those vagrants brought to the psychiatric unit, treated, counseled, and get homes for them? But more than one of the workers at the psychiatric unit, when I brought that up to them, they said that the consultant, the chief consultant, does not want them there. He needs new head. It is for his records numbers. We know of the case where the teacher had to get a lawyer to get her out, And he's admitting that the people on the road, I see it in the last son and I read it before, the people on the road, they are physically and mentally ill. So they are deprived of their human rights. And it's a shame that a consultant would not take care of those people. It starts with him, it goes with the police. You would see if somebody has marijuana, they would say if you have to call the police, tell them drug is in the area and they would come. I saw a man change his clothes in public on the road. I called the police, they did not come. I saw him later, I say, look, he's in that. I called 3 times in a short time. The man was going different. Nobody came. That same man I called, he was lying on the road in a miserable situation. There is another man that was threatened by somebody. I look back and what he was telling the man he will do. That same young man who was burned, a man showed me what he would use to beat him. I said, no, you cannot do that. You don't know why the man is in that position. He told me that the young man put his hand in a customer plate and take the food. So the person who burned him, I am sorry for both of them. That person, be it man or woman, was driven to insanity. And they are denied their human rights. That teacher who was brought to the psychiatric unit and forced to be drugged, she had to get a lawyer to take her out. Why can't those them be treated? There's a long story.
Yes, indeed. And caller, thank you very much for this intervention. Certainly, I think you made a very good call here for a better intervention, which takes us to our friends in studio. This morning, you must have heard about a protest outside, in the corner rather, of King George and Great George Streets there in Roseau. And we have in studio with us this afternoon at just about 27 for the hour of 2 o'clock. We have in studio with us Mr. Mike Wallace, who led basically a one-man protest and was joined later by Mervyn. So I've asked both of them to come in this afternoon and just talk to us a little bit about, firstly, Mike, why did you decide to do that protest this morning?
Well, thank you very much, Thompson, and good afternoon to the many listeners out there. Thompson, first of all, I have to say that we live in a country of laws. We are, this is a society, and we are supposed to be civil in our behavior. I personally do not, I should state up front, I do not know Andy or any of his relatives at a personal level at all. I've only seen this guy on the street like most of the people. But my concern would be, firstly, just as the college before said, it is very wrong, very inhumane when a person decides to hot a pot of water or oil or whatever it is and throw on another person for any reason. It is a criminal offense. It's a criminal act. And once a criminal act occurs, the police have a responsibility to carry out the investigation. Upon investigating, they are to take decisive action. It's been just about 4 days or thereabout since this young man was criminally and brutally burnt in that manner. I believe that by now, because it happened, firstly, we must put this in context. It happened in the middle of the city at around 5:30, daylight. So many people know of the incident, and they know further who were the perpetrator or perpetrators in the situation. So the police also confirmed that they had a report on Thursday. In my mind, it is more than time that the police ought to have taken decisive action for a criminal act. Nothing else, just for a criminal act that occurred. And so I told myself, listen, I cannot sit back as a citizen of this country, a law-abiding citizen of this country, and to see this situation be brought about, where something like this can happen to an individual, and then the perpetrator or perpetrators can simply be just walking free as if nothing has happened, and because only they are known by certain people in high places. This cannot be right. And as a citizen of this country, I decided this morning that I was going to go out there, because I personally called on the police officer back on Friday, that let them know that we, the people of Dominica, we are expecting them to take action. At that time, I didn't even know who it was. But with 3-4 days having gone by, and we know that there's been more than time, the police have enough information to have taken action, I decided I am going out there to highlight this situation by myself. I made it known I will go out there by myself. Nobody inspired me, nobody urged me. I didn't need anybody's company. I didn't ask, I should say, for any at that point. I came on, and very simply, I am very happy that Mervyn was able to make himself available, because he was of his like-mindedness, make himself available for us to stand there from 9:30, 9:45 this morning until 1:15, and I believe the point has been made. Many, and to all the many people who have actually stopped by, spent some time in support of what we were doing. I want to thank them very much. Those persons who have called, I want to thank them all. And this is the reason that I actually went out to do this, Thompson.
Excellent.
It's just as a citizen of this country, I couldn't do otherwise.
And Mervyn, I passed earlier and I saw you there in support with the placard supporting Mike. But I wanted to ask you, you're very familiar with the Roseau area, and it's not the first time that we've had this kind of treatment given to one of the less fortunate. Give us some more examples from your experience and in terms of the history of this in the Roseau area.
Okay, let me first say good afternoon to the public and to you all in the studio. Yes, what actually I should say, give examples. A couple years ago we had 2 examples of street people losing their lives, and one of them was Mr. Grill, who was a teacher somewhere in the 70s and 80s. He lost his life by somebody dropping a stone on his head while he was sleeping somewhere in town.
And as far as you know, nobody has gone to jail.
Nobody has gone to jail for that. Mm-hmm. And then there was this guy we used to call Wice Park. He used to go around selling this herbal stuff and this wood for cleansing called Wice Park, and he got the name Wice Park. He also suffered that same thing. He died because he was sleeping in this bus stop area on Victoria Street somewhere outside the Newtown Savannah, and he got killed with a stone drop on his head while he was sleeping. So all these are unresolved matters, and then I saw it fit when I heard of that situation and hearing my brother there, Mike Wallace, saying that he was going to stand in protest. I followed up the same way, because I realized there was some injustice in terms of hearing what had happened and hearing that it was right in Roseau. People had seen you, hearing names calling, and then there was no arrest made by the police.
And also recently we had a situation where one was shot by a police officer.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And it turned out that he actually ended up in court claiming that he shot himself in the buttocks.
Oh, that was the situation with the convent prep situation. Yes. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. Yes. Even that situation is an unresolved one too.
Yes.
Because what ended up happening there was the guy got shot by the police, and they did all the fancy footworks, taking him out of the jail, bringing him down to court, and to say, cut him some deal to say that he shot himself.
Yes.
And that really that wasn't the situation.
You know, but this is very disturbing. I mean, you've just given 2 examples where people were murdered. Dominicans were murdered.
A crime was committed,
and
yes.
A crime was committed of murder. In similar fashion, I should add.
Yes, it is.
With rocks being dropped on their heads.
On people's heads whilst
they're sleeping on the roadside.
Mm-hmm.
And no investigations were done. Obviously, if you use a rock, more likely than not, there would have been fingerprints on those rocks. Mm-hmm. Why do you think the police are just not interested in investigating those cases?
Honestly, Dr. Fountain, I don't have an answer for that, but I am seeing really and truly, even with this present situation where the police knows or hearing what is happening and not making an arrest, I mean, in that situation, I think there is interference, and I think the police is not doing the work of the people. the police is doing the work for somebody else, because you cannot find yourself in a situation like that where a crime has been committed, and that's supposed, just a crime has been committed, the police are supposed to be activated on their own.
Yes, it is a crime.
Yes, and they are not activated on their own, and something is wrong in our society. And that's one of the reasons why I really stand, because the wrong that is happening in our society today, it is unacceptable, and I'm one that's showing that I'm not in support of what is happening.
Absolutely. And Mike, when you consider that just a week ago, the police officers, disregarding common decency, entered into a funeral ground, into a cemetery, where a lady was burying her mother. In the midst of a grief and a suffering, she was arrested over a simple poke. And here it is, a young man, he's at the hospital, burned, very severe burns. We've all seen the pictures on social media, very, very severe burns. We have this in these cases where 2 men were murdered in cold blood, zero investigations, no call by the police to bring, if you know of anything, nothing, no attempts been made. Is that sending the wrong signal to the public that they can do as they please with these individuals and get away with it?
It is absolutely, Dr. Fountain, sending the wrong signal, and this is the reason that I saw the need to highlight this, because we as a people, we have to change our attitude towards these types of things, because it is really wrong, as you pointed out. Here we had this situation where this lady was arrested while burying her mother. So this speaks to the involvement that my partner just mentioned, the involvement of the police.
Interference.
Or interference,
yes,
that's the word. Interference of the police. And I will have to say that the hierarchy of the police. Because you see, Thompson, I should add here quickly, people might be inclined today to, well, let's start that we bashing the police. Let me make it clear, it's not about bashing the police. We are clearly seeing a situation, and we are aware of it, of interference in police work, and this is what is happening.
And selectiveness also.
Selectiveness. And so in making the point that it is not about bashing the police, I want to take a minute to just point out and thank the police officers that were there with this morning.
This morning, yeah.
Doing what I know, what I was trained as a police officer to do, doing what policing is about. We were there lawfully, within the law, having a silent protest. They were there to do their job.
But I agree that they were there, but why were they not there in uniform? I saw plainclothes police officers there.
It is not uncommon. If you have a situation such as this, you will have plainclothes, you will have uniform, and we've had both of them there. But importantly, I have to state that these guys, this time around, they were here. They ensured there was, as I said, one instant where one guy came there and started carrying on, and they instantly went, or we didn't have to ask, they went there and told this guy, listen, you're now interfering with the peace, because the people are there having a peaceful protest. It is their right, and they went and stopped this. And it is important to know that people must know, as the police mentioned, that when people see them there, they believe, well, they're there to do whatever, they're there to work and to help work with us. So that is very important. But having said that, it is for the same reason that I am standing against the police inaction in this particular case, and so this is a problem here.
Excellent. We have several people wanting to come in. Let me open up the line just a little bit there. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk on the Block.
Thompson Fountain, good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to Mike Wally.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And my brother Mervyn.
Afternoon.
I stand and I salute you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are true patriots who stand for what they believe. And I said this morning, if I was not at work, I would have been there under the rain, because I understand.
There was no rain, Michael, sorry.
Excuse me?
There was no rain. We were not disturbed by the rain.
Oh, there was
Yeah. God actually held up the rain for us.
Great. So it's not right, it's not fair to treat a human being in that way. And in some countries, if you treat animal in that way, you will go to jail for life.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know about life, but
he
go to jail.
Mother, he has a father, he has brothers, he has sisters. And we have to stand up, because if it was our own, we would want people to speak for us. We would want people to stand up for us. It's not because he's on the road for you to do that to him. Best you had give him a plate of food and tell him, don't come back. I am being told Irish potato was boiling. Pour the hot water in a saucepan and you give it to him on his back. After all, How is that person sleeping in their bed? And the police must understand that they are serving the people of Dominica. It's taxpayers who are paying the police officers. And I commend the police officers this morning for going there to ensure that it is a peaceful match. You understand? But the police must also do their work without fear or favor. And when the police do those things like that, you'll make people lose confidence and trust in you. Because here it is, a woman was arrested at a funeral. Here it is another individual burden a human being. And that individual has not been arrested all because of her involvement within the ruling Labour Party. It's not right, it's not fair. We are asking for justice. And until we get justice for this guy, we will not stop speaking. It is wrong. And I think all Dominicans by now, whether you support the Labour Party, the Freedom Party, the United Workers Party, Party, stand up with principle and say it is wrong because it is a human being. It is tearing my heart, and I feel the pain of this young man. And finally, the family of this young man should take further decision. So many persons saw what transpired, nobody speaking. Those people who saw what happened and they are not speaking, they are as guilty as the wicked creature who wet the boy with that hot water. Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Coppell. Let's get some more calls. Good afternoon.
Hey, blessings to you, Doc. What's up?
Doing good, sir. Blessings, blessings.
Okay. Blessings. Moving, blessings to you.
Blessings to you, blessings.
Blessings to you, sir.
Blessings to you, my brother.
And I want to congratulate you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. I've noticed there may be some outside influence to it. There is a new culture. It may have to do with some cultish behavior. The disappearance of people in Dominica right now, it's phenomenal. It is so widespread these days. I am saying, could it be that some people need blood? So maybe mashing up the heads of the vagrants on the sidewalk. It may have to do with some ritualistic
Sacrifice.
Yeah. So, and maybe even those people who we may think that are just being maybe the outraged that the vagrants coming across them, maybe they themselves have to contribute to it because they are benefiting.
Blessings.
All of them maybe have to play their part.
Yeah, blessings. I know you're a partner of words. I would really personally, you see that word vagrant. I know as in the police force we spoke of vagrant because back in the day you were basically talking about guys who would, up to no good. These people are homeless, so let's refer to them as homeless. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for the correction, sir. I do accept that, and
Great.
I appreciate the correction.
Yeah.
So really and truly, we should be very careful because there is something very strange. There is something unusual. There is something odd about what is happening in Dominica, and do not put what that is happening beyond those who want to sit there forever. Thank you. Blessings.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's take some more callers again. Callers, just be as brief as possible. Let's take in as many calls as possible, along with our guests in studio. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk on the Block.
Yeah, pleasant afternoon to you, Santo. Pleasant afternoon to the
Good afternoon.
Yeah, but I mean, really and truly, we got to be careful how we treat people. I mean, you never know if one day you're going to be mentally challenged. And for the goodness of me, I'm not too sure why it's taking forever for this lady that actually called this hot stuff on this big brand. Not too sure why it's taking forever for Mr. Daniel Carbon and his men them arrest this lady. I had an experience back in 2015 where I traveled to Dominica. I rented a rental and she was actually marked up and put me in debt. Just that I couldn't even afford. I mean, I used my discretion. I just went straight to the police station to make a report. Up to now, I have never gotten compensated damage where I have to pay for something. So you see, these people realize that they are in charge right now and they can kill you and get away. We have seen it. We see where one of Mr. Assertion was involved in criminal conduct, and up to this very moment, he has not been thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Let's take a couple more calls and then we'll get back to Mervyn and Mike. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk on the Block. Hello. Okay, we've missed this one. Let's try this other caller. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Fountain.
Yes,
Mike,
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My countrymen, I salute you and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
You were well, so we know exactly what we have to do. And Mr. Mervyn, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
as Dr. Fountain pointed out, these people are just people that happen to be on hits bad time. They led quite a respectable life before they got in that situation. And even if they're homeless, they are people too. Their lives matter. And whatever that's going on in Dominica, each time an incident occurs, we sit back and we just brush it aside, and another thing happens and it's worse than the time before. We should not stop and sit by and let terrorists and whoever that's doing whatever they're doing at home and get away with it. First of all, when they arrested that woman in the cemetery, people should have protested, because it can happen to you or I. And then if this happens again, enough is enough. And I really, really, really salute you for coming out and standing up. It just takes one person. And continue to stand up for the democracy of Dominica. Wherever we are, we're there to support you. And if it comes to the time when you have to come, then whoever that's abroad, they will come and stand up for Dominica. This is our country, and we're going to take it back.
Thank you very much, caller. Wow, all the lines are going. Good afternoon, caller.
That's the mobile man. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
And the guest.
Good afternoon, mobile man.
Yeah, cool man idea, man. To support Michael Coppell. You see, Michael Coppell is a real man for Dominica, my brother. Michael Coppell, my brother, I love you, man. I want to affect Dominica, my brother. I love to hear you. Have a nice day, all people.
All right, thanks. I think you're trying to refer you to Mike Wallace. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
I'm feeling very sorry for Andy, for what they did to Andy.
Yes.
Especially his family, because myself, I'm a grandmother, and I have my grandson always going down to town, so maybe anytime they might do him the same thing, so they should bring the perpetrators to justice.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. We appreciate this. More of your calls. Good afternoon.
Whatsoever you do to the least of my brother, I tell you that you do unto me. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brother, that you do unto me. That's what the Bible says. That's not my words. And I'm being told that the lady left the country. She was advised by top racket people to leave the country. She's not here. But you can run, but you cannot hide. Thank you.
Wow.
Justice.
Boy, yes. Good afternoon, caller. Yes, caller, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am asking which moving is moving Paul or?
No, that's moving John Baptist.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, caller. All right, let's take one more call, then we'll get back. We are quickly running out of time. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Funkin. How are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Hey, I really appreciate your program. My name is Ronald Walters, Dominican, living outside in the USA. I'm happy for the men that stand up this morning, and I listen to Q95 a lot. Just want to say to all Dominicans, it's time to stop talking very good stuff on the radio. It's time to start acting. It's time to start demonstrating and take back our people. The Bible tells us that righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to every people. And it's time for Dominicans to recognize who is in charge. God is in charge. The government of Dominica is not in charge of Dominica. It's time for us to stand up for right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much,
caller. And that's what we are trying to do here by educating the people and, of course, bringing some attention to the protest that took place this morning. Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Thompson. That's Baron.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
When I heard that yesterday, I cry, man.
I know,
I actually cry because it very hurt me, man. For a human being, I've been talking to some friends this morning in the hotel, and you have one guy supporting that, 100%. I tell him, I don't do hear you, man. You can't support them kind of filthiness, man. That's ungodly, man. Take care.
Exactly. And Mike, we just found out today that this is the son of Billy.
That's correct.
Billy, who died last year during Erica, who was washed away.
Yeah.
That's his son. I never knew. I never realized that. I mean, I know Billy from years and years and years. I didn't realize that was his son. So you see, I mean, it is,
That's exactly right that you raised this, because I myself didn't know at all. I've known Billy for more than 20 years, and I didn't know at all until just this morning. And this is the thing, Dr. Fontaine, you never know who. And this morning, and I have to just take a minute to mention what was told to me this morning by a very respected person on this island. He said to me, he had a situation where someone said to him one day, the other day I saw this person that was almost naked in the public. I can't believe this. And he said to her, listen, the other day I was driving under the cliff and I saw someone walking totally naked. Then I decided to stop. When I stopped, it was my brother who was walking the street totally naked. To his amazement.
Yes.
So he went on to do the other thing, but in the interest of time, it only shows that you never know who.
Yeah.
Quickly to end that is that now this gentleman who has been since then going back to the VIs, and today he's a counselor counseling young people as to how to get and everything else. So I have summarized this whole thing, but this is very important. You never know who you will meet. Or you may see, when you see someone on the street like this, it could be your brother or your mother, your sister, whoever.
Mervyn, some final words from you?
Well, let us be each other's keeper, because in this society we live in a small island, and I think we need to look out for each other, no matter what the situation is.
Yes, indeed. And Mike and Mervyn, thanks for coming in. I salute your work. You wanted to say something quickly?
Yes, I want to just quickly say, I hope that this whole effort will have been well worth the while if within very quick time we hear the police have taken the right action.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. And I want to say a special thanks to both Mervyn and Mike for coming in, as well as for Francis, who joined us earlier all the way from London. I believe the strength of a country, we are gauged or we are judged not by the way we treat those like us, but those who seem to be unlike us. We need to remember that. So let me say a very special thank you to all of you that joined us today for Talk on the Block. I expect to be back tomorrow at the same time, doing it again for the man, Matt Peltier. But Matt will be with you tomorrow morning, and Matt in the morning on the hot set. He'll be back at 8 o'clock. I'll be back at 1 to take over with Talk on the Block. Until then, Dominico, let me wish you a very special good afternoon. And thank you so much for joining us, and take care of each other. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.